Hello and welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA, which we're doing after midnight, East Coast time on Tuesday morning. I've just come in from Europe. Bontemps has just come in from the West Coast. And MacMahon was at a game tonight. All right, Tim Bontemps just in from the West Coast, joining us from New York City. What's up?
Hello, everybody. Walked in the house at about 1 a.m. There was a cockroach on the floor. K-Bon was not happy.
Welcome home.
That's the way my day has gone. Yes.
Welcome home. Joining us from Dallas, but not there all night. He was over in Fort Worth to watch the Mavericks play their first preseason game against the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. And Van MacMahon, it seems like the Thunder brought their A game, their A team for this one.
That's good. Didn't bring their A game or their A team. Top 6 or so guys, 6, 7, stayed home in Oklahoma City for the probably, I'm going to say, the first Charleston-Fort Worth back-to-back in NBA history. I would feel pretty confident in saying that. Maybe not in old D-League history, but yeah. Hey, do want to give a quick shout-out. 5-0 Mean Green, baby. Got South
People
Florida
that aren't watching
in.
on the YouTube, North Texas is MacMahon's alma mater, and he's wearing a North Texas sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm. Hey, 5-0 for the first time since '59. Have the ranked South Florida Bulls coming in Friday night. It'll be on the deuce, baby.
My school is undefeated since 1954, so it is
Yeah.
it is ahead. It is ahead on the rankings.
Congrats.
How's
all right,
Kent State
so
doing?
how's what? Ohio State?
Kent State.
Oh, Kent State. Well, they lost 44-0 to Oklahoma over the weekend. Ohio State, I don't know if you heard, is doing pretty well.
Kent State somewhat had a better weekend than Penn State, so we got that going for them.
That's true. All right, so Cooper Flagg played mostly in the first 3 quarters of this one.
Only the first half.
Only the first half. He had like a flurry there where he scored like 10 points in one setting. He hit a couple of threes. Was handling the ball a little bit. Did not start at point guard, though.
No.
D'Angelo Russell started at point guard.
I was thoroughly amused when before the game, our friend Mark Dagnall, coach of the Thunder, got asked about his thoughts on Cooper Flagg, and in very classic Thunder fashion, basically said he had no idea who Cooper Flagg was, and it was going to be his first time watching him play, and he'd tell you later what he thought of him, which I thought was very classic Thunder language on one of the biggest prospects coming to the NBA in the last 20 years. We have no thoughts on what he could possibly be as a player at all. It was great. Good
job, Mark. MacMahon, there was a possibility, I think, that Cooper Flagg might have started at point guard. But at the end of the day, D'Angelo Russell started. And what did you learn from Cooper Flagg's first NBA game tonight?
I don't necessarily know that we learned a lot, but we saw, the player that he's supposed to be, and that's somebody who impacts the game in a lot of different ways. We've talked about how he might make a bigger impact defensively than offensively as a rookie. And I think his most spectacular play of the game is he's low man. He comes swooping in when Isaiah Joe gets to the basket and just swats the thing off the glass, starts a fast break that ends with a...
That's a lot. Isaiah Joe didn't know who he was either. None of the Thunder
he does now.
were aware
Not
that this guy is like
Cooper Flagg.
this elite shot blocking, what is he, 6'10", 6'8"?
Yeah, they list him at 6'9".
Okay.
But I mean, the kid, this morning he said he just wants to focus on competing hard. He said playing hard, playing physically, playing at a good pace, and making the right reads. He certainly accomplished all of those things. And honestly, so I knew he was only going to play the first half. And, midway through the second quarter, he hadn't scored. And I'm just thinking, I hope he at least gets a bucket because, frankly, selfishly, because I'm like, I don't want.
Yeah, you don't need a story.
Yeah, because it would have
to do a story on that.
Yeah, I didn't want. Oh my gosh, Cooper Flagg scoreless in his preseason debut. Just like the silly.
Sure.
Is he a bust? Blah blah blah, all that crap. Because he played well. He was defending well. He was rebounding. He was passing the ball well. He just, I think at that point he only had a couple of shots. One was a grenade 3 at the end of the shot clock. And I'm just thinking, if this guy goes scoreless, it's going to be a thing. It's going to be silly. And then comes off the pick and roll, Oh, I'm sorry. Grabbed a rebound, went coast to coast, finished in traffic. I'm like, all right, you got a bucket. Next possession off the pick and roll, boom, hits a three. A couple minutes later, a minute and a half later or so, drives, makes a nice spin move, gets fouled, hits free throws. Another three off the pick and roll. And the threes off the pick and roll to me was pretty intriguing because that's something that he hadn't done a lot in his very young basketball life. It is something that he said he really spent a lot of time working on this summer. And, I don't know if Cooper Flagg is ever going to be an offensive superstar. I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just saying I think he can be a superstar without being like a, 25, 30 point per game scorer. But if he's going to become a 25, 30 point per game scorer, knocking down the three and operating off the pick and roll is going to be a huge part of that.
Well, it's funny that's how his first game went, because I think if you talk to people who, talk to people with the Mavs, or you talk to people who have followed Cooper's career, I think that might be a lot of how his rookie year goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that he's going to be scoreless for 18 minutes in a lot of games, but he's a guy that is going to play super hard. He's going to rebound. He's going to play defense. He's a terrific passer. He might be the best passer on the team. So, he's going to impact the game in a lot of ways. And that might take some pressure off the fact that he might not be a guy that's going to walk in and immediately score 16, 18, 20 points a game, particularly on a team, on this Dallas team where, especially if D'Angelo Russell is starting, you've got Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis. There's a lot of mouths to feed on offense and a lot of guys who are going to shoot the ball. So he may have a lot of games where he has 8 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, couple steals and a block or something like that.
Right.
And he does a lot of different stuff and helps the team out. And I mean, look, we've talked a lot about the starting lineup. The question of, is Cooper going to be the starting point guard? Are they going to start D'Angelo Russell? Are they going to start Klay Thompson? Are they going to start PJ Washington? Especially till Kyrie Irving gets back, if he does, who doesn't start of that group? I thought it was at least an interesting way to start that PJ Washington, who I think is pretty clearly one of the Mavericks' 5 best players, did not start this opening game of the preseason.
Yeah, and obviously they went D'Angelo Russell at the guard, and it is, if they go with that supersized starting lineup, then there's not a lot of shooting and there's less playmaking. So I understand going with Russell. But I 100% agree with you on the Flagg impact. I don't think he's going to average a ton of points this year. I mean, I think he'll average 14 or 16. But, he's not a guy who's going to force shots that aren't good shots. And, I think that is a good thing. But his aggression as a scorer, especially this season, will be interesting to monitor.
And we will monitor it. I also want to point out that on Monday night, Victor Wembanyama played his first game in many months as he comes back from the blood clot for the Spurs. He had an incredibly productive 16 minutes the first half of that game. He had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks in just 16 minutes.
And 6 turnovers. So just looking at the box
and
score.
6 turnovers. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I'd like to examine how that went.
By the way, Cooper Flagg, no turnovers.
Okay.
For a guy who had the ball in his hands a lot as an 18-year-old.
Absolutely.
And again, by the way, though, probably the best player that Oklahoma City had in Fort Worth tonight in uniform was Cason Wallace. And there were multiple times that Cooper Flagg brought the ball up the court while being hounded by Cason Wallace and did not commit any turnovers.
Well, that's terrific. That's actually probably one of the most interesting things I've heard about him early on here.
By the way, the Thunder, did you guys see this Nikola Topic injury?
This is a very upsetting injury. So Nikola Topic is the Serbian guard who they drafted in the lottery in 2024. He had torn his ACL. He was at one time regarded as a potential top 5 pick. Mm-hmm. Slipped. Was he in the lottery, Bontemps, or was it?
12.
Yeah, 12.
Picked him 12.
Okay, 12. He set out all last year. Came out in their first preseason game over the weekend on Sunday and had a good game, didn't he, Bontemps? He put up
good 10 points and 7 assists, 31 minutes, and then had a testicular procedure on Monday. and is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Hold on. He got hit and suffered a pretty bad injury.
Clearly.
To the point where he had to have quasi-emergency surgery.
Yeah.
I
should say he's going to be reevaluated in approximately 4 to 6 weeks, not out for 4 to 6 weeks.
I remember when this happened to Manu Ginobili about 10 years ago.
Yep.
Ginobili got hit. I remember this, unfortunately, because Ginobili got hit, obviously in the groin, and then had to leave. It was an incredible pain and had to leave the game. Go to the locker room and didn't come back. And the media came into the locker room afterwards, and what happens when that happens, it's obviously painful, and everybody else cringes, and then they laugh about it. And I remember in that situation that I remember Tony Parker, the media wanted to laugh about it. Oh, poor Ginobili, huh? That really stinks. And Parker's like, I don't think it's a laughing matter. And that's because they knew that Manu was seriously injured. In this case, the set of circumstances, that's crazy. I haven't seen the play, how it happened. And I don't want to see it, quite frankly. He had to have pretty quick surgery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I hope he's okay. So that's
and Manu missed a month back then, and it's doesn't sound like it's going to be a super long absence probably, but still, for a guy who missed all last year and had a chance to be a rotation player for them, it's a bummer on a variety of levels for him going into what's his rookie season when he had a chance to get some playing time right away.
Right. So yes, that was by the way, Memphis Grizzlies medical update. I mean, first freaking week.
Couldn't make the preseason opener. They're down 3 starters now, potentially for the season opener. Zach Edey, 100%.
All right. So Zach Edey had surgery. Jaren Jackson Jr. had surgery. Mm-hmm. They're both out. And Ja Morant with a significant ankle to one of these. They I don't think they announced the grade, but they said it's week to week.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds like, I don't know for sure, that sounds like a grade 2.
And it sounds like his status for the season opener is in jeopardy. Jaren Jackson Jr., they announced before training camp, would return to play in 4 to 6 weeks coming off turf toe surgery that he had in July. That puts his status for the opener in the first couple weeks of the season very much in jeopardy. And then at the same time,
Edey had ankle.
Yeah, they announced
Edey had ankle surgery, right
in June, and they announced again going into training camp that he would return to play in 6 to 9 weeks, which means he's going to miss at least the first couple weeks, if not the first month or so.
Yeah. God, if I was a Grizzlies fan, I don't even know what I would say. All right. So Wembanyama, however, did have a very productive and turnover filled, apparently, but a very productive 16 minutes. Before we move on, I just want to shout out something that happened that game. The Spurs were hosted in the Guangzhou Long Lions from the Chinese Basketball Association. And they have a handful of Americans on the team, including Frank the Tank Kaminsky and Tim Frazier, who he played with the Nets.
He had
guard.
Cups of
he played a bunch of places, Rockets, a lot of places.
But anyway, Victor Oladipo making a career comeback attempt is on the Guangzhou Long Lions.
Wow, really? I did not know that.
And yes, you were busy at Fort Worth tonight. He came out and basically tried to put on a showcase of I can still play. He hasn't played in almost 3 years in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Still not in the NBA. I know that he was working out all last year trying to hook on with the team. And I know that over the off season, he had at least 1 or 2 workouts. He had 20 points in 29 minutes in this game. He was 1 of 8 on threes and 8 of 19 overall.
Wearing number 52? How does he get number 52?
I'm sure there's a story there. But anyway, I think they are then playing maybe the Clippers in San Diego area later this week. So he has another opportunity to show. But
by the way, did you see from the Spurs inter-squad scrimmage the clip that went viral of Wemby coming off the dribble. Was that Cornette who was guarding him?
Yes.
Gave Cornette a bump where like knocked him back a few feet and then went up and just ripped the rim off basically. Like Victor Wembanyama showing major power off the dribble before going into a dunk. It was like some combination of KD, Giannis, and Shaq.
What? Okay, let's
Let's
just ease off a little bit. Let's ease off a little bit.
I will say when
Just
you
saying.
look at Wembanyama's shoulders,
Yeah, definitely bigger.
arms and shoulders, and you compare him to where he was when he came into the league. I mean, he's not going to threaten Dwight Howard in terms of the size of his upper torso, but there's no doubt that his strength has really improved.
Well,
so
listen, look at Giannis as a rookie and look at Giannis now. And I'm just going to tell you, Wembanyama attacks the weight room like Giannis does. That's all I'm going to say about that.
yeah, well, I think Victor said, I remember the exact quote, but he basically said, "I don't think anybody worked harder in the off season than I did." That was, he certainly is putting the time in. There was a bunch of games on Monday night. The Rockets played their first game, but Kevin Durant did not play in that one, so we'll wait a little while longer. The Bucks played their first game, but Giannis Antetokounmpo did not play in that one. Thanasis got 5 minutes, however, and did not score. Okay, so all that as a aside, Bontemps, you had an interesting story post on Monday. I guess, is this the second time you've done this?
Ran Friday, but yes, it was the
ran
second
Friday.
year.
I've been
in a row.
overseas.
Yep.
You'll have to excuse.
It's all good.
Excuse
It's all
me.
good.
He's hanging out with rich folks. Like he doesn't have time to read your stuff. When
Listen,
Hey,
he's traveling
We
through
cover
the
the
Middle
NBA.
East.
We're always hanging out with rich.
He's traveling
folks.
through the Middle
Everybody-
East. He's hanging out with our friend of the pod, Nick Nurse, over in Abu Dhabi. Hanging out with our other friend of the pod, Mike Brown. Seeing the
Yes.
Knicks, seeing the Sixers, doing his
I-
thing.
I-
in
I'll
worldwide
have
window.
My what I was doing in Abu Dhabi will publish later this week, so I don't want to get too much ahead of it. But I did have a terrific experience again in Abu Dhabi, and had a crazy weekend where I went to the Knicks 76ers game on Saturday night in Abu Dhabi, and then took a flight through the middle of the night, because there's flights all throughout the middle of the night out of the Middle East, because it's sort of in the center of the aviation world. So, you can take a red eye east or west or south to Africa or north to Europe. So
Anywhere.
typically, yes. Well, anyway, the Dubai airport is bustling like crazy at midnight, which is unusual. Anyway, so I flew overnight to London, and then on Sunday afternoon, I went to the Cleveland Browns Minnesota Vikings game.
What happened in the Browns-Vikings game, McMahon?
I mean, the Browns choked it up.
Browns did what the Browns do.
By the way, I thought that the Charleston-Fort Worth back-to-back was rare and unique. And Wendy is pulling Abu Dhabi, London, basketball, football. It's impressive. Worldwide, baby.
Yeah. I enjoyed the experience of going to the NFL game in London, and Carson Wentz threw a touchdown pass with like 20 seconds left to win the game. But it was still a really good experience. Anyway, I would say that my takeaway, the Sixers were missing like six guys. My takeaway from the Sixers is that VJ Edgecombe is going to create a ton of highlights this year. This guy is an absolutely electric athlete. And I know that if you study college basketball or you were a fan of Baylor, you would probably say, yeah, no duh. You just now, but this is the first time I saw him play live. Mm-hmm. And he made a series of plays offensively and defensively. He had a driving dunk that was probably the highlight of both games altogether. He also had a block shot where he just exploded from behind the play and swatted it like 30 feet. So I think he is going to be just very, very interesting to just physically watch play.
He reminds me of a young Victor Oladipo, to bring up comp from earlier in the pod. Like, I don't know if that's exactly who he is. Maybe he's more of a Donovan Mitchell type or Victor. I mean, he's got a chance to be that kind of a dynamic athlete at the 2
I think
spot.
he's taller than both Victor and Donovan. I think
He's
he's
definitely
like
taller than Donovan. He's I
Yeah.
think he's 6'4".
That was again, and this is just reality for me. I don't watch college basketball, and during the draft process, we're covering the playoffs. So I really do learn about these guys when I see them in the NBA. And so when I got to meet VJ and watch him up close, I was surprised at how big he is. Mm-hmm. He's bigger than I thought he was.
I actually I saw him play more for Bahamas when they played in that Olympic qualifying tournament. Yep. I was watching that. I was very interested in that. And they didn't end up making it, but they got really close. And again, that was a team that had DeAndre Ayton, Buddy Hield, Eric Gordon. And there were a lot of times he was the best player on the floor for the Bahamas. Yep. And when he was
a lot of praise
going into college, 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
As for the Knicks, they were playing like 17 or 18 players, Mike Brown was, and they didn't play any of their starters in the second half of those games. So I didn't get as much of a look at them, but what I will say is, obviously, if you've even been loosely following them, they are determined to play more up-tempo as a team this year. And I will just tell you that the player that I can identify, I would say my biggest takeaway from the Knicks is that Mikal Bridges is going to benefit if they stick to this up-tempo offense, because Bridges is dedicating himself to get out ahead of the play. And in 2 halves, basically, that he played, he probably had 4 or 5 runouts where he got thrown ahead, where he either got an easy basket or got a foul. And you can understand it. Bridges, his role is to work really hard on the defensive end and then basically space the floor offensively. When he was in Brooklyn, he played more of a slasher role. It wasn't super effective. He would put up higher scoring nights, but that really isn't his game on a high level. And this is obviously introducing them where they're like, Mikal, if you are willing to run the floor, which, he's in tremendous condition, you can get some easy baskets. He's embracing that, and Brunson's looking for him. Brunson gets the ball and he's looking for him. So I would say Bridges, I think it fits him. The other thing is Mitch Robinson, who I would say is got an edge right now to be the Knicks' 5th starter. He was rebounding like a maniac. In the one game he had 16 boards in 18 minutes. So anyway, that's my takeaways from the basketball in Abu Dhabi. A lot else was going on.
Hey, we've all covered a lot of training camps, preseasons. Either of you guys ever remember a coach saying, "Hey, we really want to slow down the pace this season"?
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Would be a first.
Slow down. No, I obviously, that's the thing. Like, and I talked to Mike Brown about this. He wants to play. This is a Greg Popovich thing. It's obviously something that's, but and something that he did in Sacramento. But he wants to play 0.5 offense, which is when you get the ball, you decide in 0.5 seconds whether you're going to pass or shoot
or drive.
You do something. Don't
do something immediately. Don't hold the ball.
I joked with him. I go, well, your point guard's a 20.5 yes. Player. Jalen Brunson led the league in dribbles last year. But, for now, everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants to play 0.5 offense, so we'll see.
And this is why Mike Brown was on my list to go back to, because we got distracted by worldwide window stories. But he's on my list of the 10 people who will define the upcoming season, which is the story that I wrote.
Yes. So you did this last year. Is this correct, Bontemps?
Yep.
Did you go back and check your work and whether those 10 players last year?
Age?
I can go back. I will tell you the list. I felt pretty good about it, going back and looking at it. Again, it's like some of this isn't exactly, earth-shattering stuff. But
don't sell yourself short.
So last year's list was Embiid, who obviously
I would say that was
certainly the season was defined in part by him. Karl Towns, just getting traded to the Knicks.
Yeah, that just happened.
Victor, put him on the list every year if you want.
Yeah.
JJ Redick, say it was pretty
Rob
easy
Pelinka
one.
thought so. He gave him an extension.
It's true. Cooper Flagg is a stand-in for Cooper and also a pretty interesting draft class.
Tanking went on.
Barkley, part of the Inside the NBA crew. Certainly it was a big storyline throughout last season.
Our new colleague.
That's our new colleague. Wick Grousbeck, part of the Celtics sale. This is one of the bigger stories of the season. Ja Morant kind of fell off, but that was sort of the point. Like, is Ja going to actually be able to get back to being Ja Morant or not? And now he's hurt again. As you said, MacMahon, they're already down 3 starters. Then the final 2 guys were Calvin Booth, GM at Denver, who went all in on this youth movement to build a championship contender with Jokic and had all these comments about how they could build a dynasty. And, well, that didn't work out great, and he got fired. And Mike Dunleavy, who was sitting on some draft capital and some players to potentially try to upgrade, and the Warriors were in the mix for Jimmy Butler most of the year. So
you've done worse stories.
Yeah, didn't hear any.
It was a decent start.
Didn't hear Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Well, no, again, and as I said in the lead of this story, it is not a list of the 10 best players in the league. So, like, Nikola Jokic isn't
I don't
in the
think
story.
Barkley's a top 10 player anymore.
No, he's not. But Jokic isn't on the list. Shea isn't on the list. Luka isn't on the list. Certainly, they could all be on the list every year. But the idea, the conceit behind the list is to try to come up with the people that are going to shape sort of how the season plays out and the stories of the season in terms of, like, what are the interesting things that are happening around the league. Some of them on the court, some of them off the court, some of them reflecting things that are happening off the court player-wise. So that's what I try to capture.
All right. So Mike Brown is on the list. You don't rank them. You just sort of list them.
I just did it in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
No ranking.
Mike Brown is on the list, as you said. And I'm going to tell you something. If you were a Knicks fan and you watched how they played offense and you know that they're a good defensive team, you probably got excited. You had to be looking sort of at odd times. These games.
The Knicks fans find ways to get excited when the team is bad, let alone when the team is good and the East is wide open. So the Knicks fans are excited.
Excited and angry.
Well, they're New Yorkers. There's always an edge of anger all the time in New York.
I can see it. Like if you watch them play, especially since they added some to their bench, like
Cavs corner, a little concerned.
He should be.
Little
outlasted them in the playoffs last year.
A little concerned.
It was interesting because when I was when I went to there was a whole bunch of Browns fans that I attended. The Browns game went on Sunday.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I forgot a story that I needed to tell on the podcast. No. This is a story that happened at the game. You're not aware of this story, MacMahon.
Was this did Wendy say with the dog pound?
Wendy was in.
Kind of.
So Brian had great seats for people who follow him on IG. So posted a picture, a couple rows off the field in the end zone.
Oh.
Pretty great seats. He was with a mutual friend of Brian and mine who flew in for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told, MacMahon, that during the game, Brian got asked to take a picture with some Cleveland fans. He graciously did so. And when he took the picture, what happened, Brian?
They dumped beer all over me. It was actually worse than.
I don't believe it was an intentional thing. I think it was an accidental thing while they were taking a picture with him.
It was actually worse than that. The NFL, who was, potential partners with us here at ESPN, we would never say anything bad about it.
We are company men, after all.
Might be our bosses.
Very, very dedicated to the job.
The NFL launched a new ticketing app for the London, I don't know, probably for all their games, but, I had never used it before. And the app crashed about 45 minutes before the game, and myself and several thousand other fans couldn't access their tickets. If you didn't put your tickets in your wallet, you couldn't get in. And so there was escalating drama outside the stadium. At the end of the day, I got in, other people got in. It was okay. But there was like a half hour there where there was like 5,000 people in line, and allegedly they were all going to have to get their tickets printed out, which was obviously not going to work.
And you, fresh off an all-night flight, were probably very
yes, I flew all night, and I at that point I wasn't sure I was getting in the game.
It's a tough windy sleep update.
And these Browns fans come up and ask for a photo, and then just absolutely douse me in beer, just dump beer all over.
I mean, what was their response to this dousing?
They felt terrible. But that didn't make any. That
didn't take the beer away
because the beer was expensive, or because they felt bad about getting you wet.
Good question. They didn't
Probably
clarify
both.
that.
I would guess both.
What kind of beer was it?
I don't know. Probably one that you would have drank.
Narrow it down that much.
It was not Guinness. I can tell you that. I could tell you that.
Anyway, I think that was a worthy diversion, MacMahon.
Yes,
I
that
was told
did
to
happen.
bring that story up, and I forgot.
Yeah, well, it was like, this is going to be great. We're not going to be, we flew, 8 hours, and we're going to, all this stuff, and it's not easy to get to this stadium where they're having. It's a beautiful stadium, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's an American stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, but it's not a British stadium, but that's
it's not a proper football stadium.
It's not a proper football stadium. Also, I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Okay. And, I'd never seen them. I'd never been to their stadium. I've seen them play in other stadiums. They won on Saturday, by the way, against Larry Nance's Leeds team. They won 2-1. But anyway, it's sometimes hard to get Hotspur gear, because of the London teams, they're like below Arsenal, below Chelsea, in their fan base, below some of the other English powers like Man City. And like, I've even gone to like these big giant stores in London which sell, proper football gear, and like there'll be like racks and racks and racks of Man U and Man City gear, and then like one little corner of Spurs gear. Mm. And so, as you can imagine, they have a team store at this new stadium. The stadium's like 4 years old. They have a team store that's the size of a warehouse. Okay. I mean, the capital of Tottenham merchandise on the planet.
Door closed.
Completely replaced by NFL gear.
Oh,
they literally wiped it all out.
Wow.
And it's great merchandising. I mean, you can buy team gear from any of the 30 teams. It's really smart.
32.
But I go 32. In there afterwards, and it's like seriously the size of a small battleship. This team store. It's completely been rebranded and all that stuff. And I go up to one of the workers and I go, "Are you telling me there isn't a stitch of Tottenham gear in this entire store right now?" And he starts laughing at me. He goes, "Nope." And I go, "Well, can you just let me into the back? I mean, I'd go into the back and have by myself. I could have had a field day, but nope, couldn't do that." Oh. But I don't want to complain. It was a lovely day. Even though the Browns lost, I had fun.
If you didn't smell like such a drunk, you probably could have
yeah, they were skeptical of me. They were like, "We're not letting you in the storeroom."
No.
So anyway, okay. The influential list.
Yes.
Mike Brown is on it.
He is. Cavs corner was originally going to be on the list.
Oh.
And
Donovan Mitchell was going to be on the list because it's a huge year for Donovan Mitchell. Like the Knicks.
The Browns fans who wanted to distract themselves from the Browns 1-4 record were all asking me about Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley didn't make the list either, MacMahon.
Well, if Donovan Mitchell was going to make it as the leading figure of the Cavs, as this is a massive opportunity for both the Knicks and the Cavs. Mm-hmm. But then last week, media day happens. Mm-hmm. Giannis Antetokounmpo zooms in from Athens with COVID and declares he can't remember a conversation with the owner.
To be clear, he appeared via Zoom from Athens. He didn't zoom in.
Well, I think it's the same thing. He has joined the team. He joined the team in Miami. They spent a long weekend in Miami because they were playing the Heat there. So he is in the US.
He is in the U.S. now, but he was added to the list after that because clearly the idea that the Giannis situation is settled and he is just going to be in Milwaukee and everything's hunky-dory. And I'm not saying he's getting traded, but
yeah, if we revisit this a year from now, if we're a year from now, it'd be interesting to see, if we do this in 2026, we look back and go, boy,
The point is the idea of, is this Giannis's final season in Milwaukee?
Oh yeah.
It's going to be coming up throughout the season, regardless of whether he gets traded in February or not.
It's an annual tradition at this point, but Giannis continues to make sure that flame is still flickering. And he gave it some oxygen when it would have been very easy to say, hey, I pondered things this summer. I decided I want to stay in Milwaukee. Looking forward to the season. Let's focus on hooping. That's not what he did.
All right, so that will be interesting. We talked about that last week, the Wes Edens.
Yes, we did.
All right, you have an interesting name, a guy who you've had, I wouldn't say hot takes in the past about, but strong takes in the past about, Bontemps, and that's the brand new max player from the Magic. They're paid him because they believe that this guy can be the best player on a contender. Because that's he's number one overall pick.
Supermax eligible, Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, that's true. He is Supermax eligible. He could get a much bigger payday if he makes an All-NBA team this year, and he certainly is capable of doing that. And yeah, look, like it's a similar story for Orlando, like it is for the Knicks and the Cavs. Like the East is wide open. Orlando trades for Desmond Bane. We'll see what happens with Jalen Suggs. We haven't really talked about the Magic a lot. This knee injury, this knee injury that he has, where he still isn't practicing, and he had surgery, I think 8 months ago. It's very concerning. It's like a knee joint. It's hard to even describe the injury. It's a really unique one. So hopefully he's back soon because he's critically important to them. But Paolo Banchero and to a lesser extent Franz Wagner are two terrific big wing players, the kind of players that every team is hoping to build their teams around. And both those guys have really struggled to shoot from the outside and have been very inefficient. And it's part of why Orlando's offense has really struggled. And this is a huge opportunity for those guys to take real steps forward as players and to lead this team to a top 2 or 3 seed in the Eastern Conference and potentially making a deep playoff run for the first time since Dwight Howard was there. Like there's a huge opportunity in front of Paolo and the Magic. And like you said, MacMahon, I mean, part of this is like if Paolo has a huge year and makes All-NBA, he's going to get, I think, an extra $50 million in money. So like on a lot of levels for him, this is a massive year coming up. And I'm curious to see if he can really take a big step forward from an efficiency standpoint and really be a guy that you can be the hub of an efficient, high-level offense, or is he going to continue to be a guy who's a high-volume, low-efficiency guy, and their offense struggles, and the Magic remain a team that's somewhere in the low to mid-40s in wins and doesn't become a real factor at the top of the East like they seem like they have a chance to this year.
All right. Last year you had Cooper Flagg on your list of. Are you branding this most influential? Is that what you're branding it?
The people, the defining people of the season.
Defining people. Yeah. All right. This year you've got a BYU forward, AJ Dybantsa, who
second highest paid player on Ryan Smith's basketball payroll.
That's right. Another window discovery.
Oh,
is that right?
What? That you discovered him?
No.
Window's definitely discovered.
I mean, I've had a chance
second highest paid? No, that's a joke.
I met him in France last year, and I've gotten to know people.
It's not family. That far off, though.
Hey, Nurkic is on the payroll.
That's true. I think he's technically 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, are we sure that Ryan Smith is
joke? It's a joke.
Okay.
Ryan,
I just want to be clear.
Is not the sole.
Ryan. No.
Yeah, right.
AJ Dybantsa is getting, I believe, $7 million to play basketball at BYU this year, and Ryan Smith is a very notable BYU alum. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. It's a joke.
It's all we're saying.
Right. However, the point is
we love the Jazz.
There's more people on the Jazz making less than $7 million than there are making
That's
more
correct.
than $7 million.
There are 5 players making over $7 million this year, including.
So he's one of the top 6 highest paid basketball players in Utah.
There you go.
How about that?
Sure.
All that to lose to Alex Jensen's Utah Utes this year.
So
I'm wearing a Ute shirt right now. Utes.
There isn't Cooper Flagg was a pretty definitive number one pick a year ago. Right now,
yeah,
I would say that's not necessarily the case.
Definitely not this year.
Although Dybantsa has and he played well he played in FIBA U19 and I believe won the MVP this year. I will say that I saw an interview that, and I'm very interested in Darren Peterson because he's from Northeast Ohio, the best Northeast Ohio prospect since LeBron James.
Is that true?
I believe so. And so I have a special interest in him. But Bill Self, his coach at Kansas, Darren Peterson, said this week that he's the best freshman he's ever coached. And, Self has had some players.
He's probably right now the number one pick, though we'll see where this ultimately lands.
Dybantsa or
Darren Peterson.
Okay.
Dybantsa certainly could be the number one pick. Darren Peterson probably right now would be the number one pick. Nate Ament, who is playing at Tennessee, is a super interesting guy. He could potentially be up there. Cameron Boozer, son of Carlos Boozer, going to Duke. He's probably going to be in the mix, maybe not for the number one pick, but like those four guys are all big-time prospects. Mikael Brown's another big-time prospect. The top 4, 5, 6 picks in this draft are loaded, and it's going to be another year where, like last year with Cooper Flagg, and at the time we thought Ace Bailey was going to be seen as a little bit of a higher-level player than he turned out to be with the way his season at Rutgers went. But still – this year's draft had between VJ
Ace Bailey's got to be one of the highest paid players in Utah.
He is. He is one of the top 5 guys. So between Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Harper, obviously Cooper Flagg, the top of this year's draft was very strong. Next year's draft probably even stronger overall between Peterson, Dybantsa, Boozer, Ament, some of these other guys that could potentially jump up. And again, we're going to be looking at ping pong balls all year for several of these teams, Utah, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Washington, obviously, they're all going to be hoping to have better luck this year and jump up and get some of these guys.
The Tankathon had a rough ending for those teams last year, boy.
Certainly did.
Yeah, they had to keep a stiff upper lip. Like the Wizards and the Jazz had to keep a stiff upper lip.
How about the Nets?
Yeah, all of them. Really, the worst. The worst tankers, none of them benefited.
They all fell. That's right.
And then in come the Mavs, 1.8%. There it is.
It's all part of the plan, baby.
Fortune favors the bold.
This is an interesting one. Your next guy on the list, of all the guards in the NBA, I'm kind of surprised, but I'll let you explain why. De'Aaron Fox, brand new max player. He's not brand new player for them, but freshly off a max contract extension.
We've talked about this before. MacMahon said it before when he had him as a combination of 4 inner circle Hall of Famers, right? Like he is what is your line, Brian? Don't put a ceiling on Victor Wembanyama. Is that the correct line?
We don't put a ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's obviously he's back and he's obviously back healthy, which is great. He's put on weight. Certainly looks like he's going to have an amazing season. No reason to think otherwise, right? Are the Spurs ready to come along with them? I think it's a very open question. We've talked about it a lot. Is De'Aaron Fox the right fit with Victor Wembanyama long term? It's 2:00 in the morning. Is he a good fit with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle? I would say no. I don't like that fit going forward. I don't really like a lot of the fit of the roster around Victor Wembanyama right now. And obviously De'Aaron Fox is the biggest name and obviously the highest paid name on the roster. So I think how this fit goes this year, obviously De'Aaron's out dealing with this hamstring injury. Let's see how long it's going to be out. But if the Spurs don't make the playoffs this year and struggle again, let's see where things start to go with Victor, with the Spurs, with where they're at in the West. And, look, the way they're going, they'll end up with Darren Peterson or AJ Dybantsa if they don't do that, and they'll jump up in the lottery again for the 4th year in a row. But That's why De'Aaron's on the list. Is I think the story of, are the Spurs ready to make a jump, and is the Spurs supporting cast both the right fit and ready to start being a playoff caliber team around Victor Wembanyama? I think is going to be a story that people are talking about a lot this season.
Hey, MacMahon, in this story, Bontemps makes a case for a new nickname for Victor Wembanyama.
The USWB just needs to worry about his own nickname.
The anomaly.
Nicknames, first of all. And second of all, I like the anomaly. I like it a lot better than calling him an alien.
I mean, leave it to Bontemps to come up with some nerdy vocabulary word for a nickname for something.
Well, first of all, you know who would like a nerdy vocabulary word? The guy who the nickname is for. He's all about nerdy vocabulary words.
I don't think Nike's going to swoop in and use that for their next marketing campaign.
I don't care about Nike. I'm not calling the guy an alien. That's all.
All right, I'm going to say this. I'll
call him Victor either way.
I get what you're saying about like it's
his
time.
nickname is Wemby.
Yes, it's time for the Spurs. Okay, enough nickname talk. It is time for the Spurs to make a significant leap forward. It's time for them to, at minimum, be a play-in team, to be on the right side of 500 and all those kind of things. In terms of like, if not, then what? I think that the real stuff we're years down the road for that being like a real thing.
Are we?
Because I'll tell you, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say, you know what's going to happen next summer? Victor Wembanyama is going to sign a supermax extension of his rookie contract. Like,
that's a safe bet given no one has ever turned down a supermax extension of a rookie contract. But what if we're sitting here? But hold on. Let's just play the game, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say we're sitting here a year from now. Say the Spurs finish 10th or 11th in the West. Let's say De'Aaron Fox plays 50 games with this hamstring issue, even 60 games maybe, and the fit still isn't great. Mm-hmm. Let's say Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle do not work well in the court, which I think we all agree is very possible because of the shooting issues.
Yeah.
Let's say Devin Vassell plays 50 games again and has more injuries. Like, you can paint a scenario pretty.
Nickname. Go on.
I'm just saying, like, you're like, hey, we could talk about this way down the road. That's fine. Like, Jeremy Sohan pick doesn't look great at the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I really like Dylan Harper. I think he's got a chance to be a monster player. Like, I don't think the Spurs are cooked by any means, obviously. I also do think, though, we could be sitting here in a year if the Spurs miss the playoffs for a third straight year with Victor, and especially if they don't make the play-in, which I think in the West is plausible, and we're not really sure about any of his supporting cast as he approaches the end of his rookie deal. I think that would be a pretty significant concern. You could also look the other way, and Dylan Harper could be rookie of the year. Carter Bryant could be awesome this year as a
Carter Bryant. He did have. I didn't mention him. He had a nice preseason first game. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if he did it against backup Chinese players. But I'm just saying.
I think the other way though is like De'Aaron Fox fits well with Victor. Dylan Harper is right there with Cooper Flagg for rookie of the year. Those three guards do play well. Devin Vassell is healthy and is out there making threes and making plays. Like, and they're in the play-in and maybe they make the playoffs. Like, I don't think that's impossible either. But either way, we're now in Victor's third year. If he misses the playoffs again, if you go back and look at all the big time players, I'm pretty sure most of them made the playoffs by their third year in the league. So not a scientific thing. I could be very wrong on that, but I know LeBron did after missing the playoffs his first 2 years.
Yeah, if you see guys in their third year often take big leaps. All right, next on the list. Here's one that our editors liked that you had on there. LeBron James.
Who?
Assuming that he doesn't retire on Tuesday, I might be honest with you. Maybe you've all heard what his. I don't know. I do not know for sure what this second decision thing is.
I don't either.
I
assume it's not. I assume he's not retiring.
Yeah,
I hope he is retiring though, because it'd be pretty funny, and we'll be back doing another pod Tuesday at about
Well, that's true.
1 o'clock.
I hope he's
you can
not
get two
retiring.
pods on Tuesday.
No, I hope he's not retiring. His future is uncertain, though. That is true. Whether it's retiring, continue to play in LA, or playing elsewhere. So I can certainly see why you have him on the list, Bontemps.
Yeah. Is he going to retire? Is he going to be a Laker? Is he going to play for another NBA team? Is he going to go do something else, as we talked about last week?
Is he going to continue to be an all-NBA talent in his 40s?
Right. And that's that's almost the secondary part, right? Like the current season with the Lakers is almost secondary to all this talk about what is this the end? If it's not the end, where is it going? All that stuff is interesting. By the way, watch the Lakers play against the Suns Friday night. Suns, another team, talking about playing fast with a new coach, Jordan Knott. Big surprise. But Lakers, they didn't have Marcus Smart and Gabe Vincent. I'll readily say that. LeBron didn't play. Luka didn't play. Obviously wasn't their full complement of guys, but they had a decent amount of their rotation guys, and they look pretty slow from an athletic standpoint. And I do think something to monitor.
Wait till
with
Luka
them.
gets in there.
I'm telling you, Luka will fix those transition defense issues.
He definitely fixed the transition defense. But perimeter defense in particular, I do think is going to be a problem for the Lakers. And yes, like maybe Gabe Vincent and Marcus Smart will be able to rectify that. But the Marcus Smart question is a really big one. And Gabe Vincent's missed a bunch of time with injuries. So that, I think, is something to monitor from a Lakers standpoint going forward, is how is their defense going to hold up.
I mean, they got Jake LaRavia. That fixes everything.
He was out there the other night.
Well, again, I think the Lakers have 8 expiring contracts. They still are holding future first-round pick that they can trade, and I believe a pick and a swap. Whatever they gave up for Mark Williams, they haven't traded that stuff yet. They got it back.
Yep.
So they are a team that, in theory, could upgrade, but one thing that they've clearly made apparent is that upgrade is going to be to fit Luka's window, not to fit LeBron, which is a no-brainer, but that's an important thing to do. They may not look at this season as the go for it season. They may still, wait for opportunities. And I think that's a thing. But also, if LeBron is playing great and Luka comes off this summer and he is playing great, and the Lakers feel like they have a window, they'll be incumbent to them to say, listen, if we're going to have if you've got Luka playing MVP level and you got LeBron playing at all NBA level, that is definitionally, and Austin Reeves continues to look good.
Well, and Austin Reeves also continues to be a very attractive potential trade piece,
The standard for them to trade Austin Reeves, I think, is extraordinarily high.
Right, but if we're talking
certainly
about
not an untouchable.
We're talking about the kind of trade that really moves the needle, that's going to be
be
hard to do without Austin Reeves being involved.
Right. The thing about Austin Reeves is that he's going to be a free agent, and you're not going to be able to extend him off that contract. So,
and I don't know if I'm going to want to pay him that contract either.
Well, that's a whole nother topic.
I know, but I'm saying he's both a good player and I think a very complicated trade piece on a variety of levels for the Lakers.
All right, next on your list is another legacy player with titles and Finals MVP awards. That's Kawhi Leonard. I have a pretty good idea why you have him on here, Bontemps, but you can explain.
Yeah, there's just this little thing going on about potential cap circumvention and, whether he's getting paid by other places and,
he's definitely getting paid by their places. The question is whether it's
proper. Right. Well, that's also true.
Despite all those best efforts.
Yeah, there's another guy related to this who's on the list later too. But yes, I could have put Steve Ballmer here for the same reason. But obviously, I thought the Clippers had a very good summer. I think they have a very good team. Like, they could really be a factor in the West. Kawhi at the end of last year looked sort of like old Kawhi again. Was very good down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Can he actually stay on the court? If he can, I think the Clippers have a chance to be a top 4 team in the West this year. And then you've also got all of this chaos with this, what's going to happen with this Aspiration. Is it Aspiration? I can't even remember the name of the company.
Aspiration. You
Aspiration.
sound like Adam
Aspiration.
Silver. You never heard of the company.
It's been a long day.
I will just
but yes,
say,
like we'll see what happens with that case, and if the Clippers get nailed for that, and what the punishments are if they do, and all that.
I will just say, I know this is not what people want to hear.
Uh-oh.
And I also know that it's especially people who are angry at them.
We got a windy soapbox moment coming.
They're gonna let I know this. It sounds so lame. I'm sorry that it sounds so lame. They're gonna let the investigation play out. And I know that there's there's smoke around this all over. I know that, there's a lot because, Adam Silver was at an event on Monday, and he was quoted as saying that the All-Star game is not going to move from the Clippers into a dome. And there were people who, thought that should be a penalty. They should strip him of that. Even if the league finds the worst salary cap circumvention in the history of American professional sports and wants to throw 11 books at them, they have to let the investigation play out, and the investigation is going to take them way too close to the All-Star game. Because I see so much, and I'm not even blaming people for the overreaction. It's the nature of our society in 2025. But the Pablo podcasts come out, and it's like, they're going to lose 35 draft picks. They're going to put Kawhi in jail. Steve Ballmer is going to be put out to sea. The Clippers will have to play with 3 players for the rest of the season. Just chill. And the same thing, it's like,
everybody freeze.
Adam Silver says they're going to play the All-Star game in LA, and it's they're sweeping it under the rug. They're not going to do anything with it. Okay, I know it's boring. I know it involves lawyers and everything like that. You're just going to have to let the investigation go. Okay,
you love lawyers,
and everything will still be on the table. But that's what I'm going to say. And I know the league feels the same.
And all of this is why Kawhi is on the list.
For sure. Also on the list, next up, Adam Silver.
Ooh.
Adam Silver on the list, obviously, for this aspiration Kawhi case. Where does this land? What punishment does he levy? How do people react to it? It's obviously going to be a huge story. The NBA Europe story is a very big story within the league. It's going to be very interesting. I see your face, MacMahon.
No, I just wonder, I get it. It's a big story in Europe.
No, it's a big story for the NBA.
Do
NBA
fans care?
Probably not.
I'm not saying NBA fans should care, but the NBA cares, and the NBA owners care, and they're going to be getting a lot of money out of the creation of this league, which also goes back to the other thing that he's in here for, which is domestic expansion, and wherever that goes over the course of the year. Because I will go back to the press conference he gave here in New York City about a month ago when I asked him, it seems like European expansion is ahead of domestic expansion. Is that fair, and why? And he got his back up very quickly and said, no, it's not. They're on parallel tracks, and they're both moving forward, and we just don't have things to report right now on domestic expansion. Well, what's going to happen with a domestic expansion between now and the spring or next summer? And is it going to move at the same pace as Europe? Because all I keep seeing from Adam Silver and everybody else with the NBA is, this is coming in a couple of years, 2027, probably going to be playing this league in Europe. That's all fine. They're on parallel tracks. Does that mean we're going to be hearing about the expansion process getting underway in the NBA? If not, when's it going to get underway? All these things, I think, are very important things for where the league is headed over the next few years. And that is why Adam is also.
I was going to say that in Abu Dhabi last week, Adam Silver and Mark Tatum were there.
And they may have talked to somebody.
I had an opportunity to talk
Foreshadowing.
to them. Yeah.
3 power brokers in one
I had an
room.
opportunity to talk to them.
That's
We'll
right.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Also, typically during the season, unless you're at the All-Star game or the finals, you don't see Mark and Adam together. I guess, at the league office, you could see them together. But
see him at the press conferences. That's usually
and typically when you're far flung at far corners of the world, you don't see them together. But they were in Abu Dhabi, and they were also in Paris last year during the Spurs visit with Victor, because what they're doing is important. They also went on a separate trip to Europe together over the summer to talk to people.
Which, again, I agree with you, MacMahon. I don't think fans should be living and dying with the creation of NBA Europe, but the NBA throwing its weight behind this thing the way they are, it's going to be relevant for a variety of reasons.
MacMahon, you knew that this guy was going to be on Bontemps' list after I don't think it's a super hot take, but certainly a bold prediction. Amen Thompson, who Bontemps has predicted will be an all-star this year.
And most
Amen Thompson
player
on the list.
Well, he's the favorite to win most improved player, so I'm not going to get
well, that's because of your influence.
Yes, I'm sure.
That's right.
I have influence on one award.
The lines.
I move the lines on one award. Yeah, this one's easy. The Rockets obviously hope to be a contending team. They lose Fred VanVleet. Sucks that he's out, but like we've talked about a bunch, Amen Thompson is going to step into the gap as, if not the number one primary ball handler. He certainly have the ball in his hands a ton. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a huge part of what the Rockets are doing. He's an incredible defensive player. If he has growth on the offensive end, he's got a chance to be a really special player, and a lot of their success this season could hinge on how much of a leap he can make. Again, same draft class as Victor Wembanyama, that third year. We see a lot of guys in that third year really take off. Amen showed a ton of flashes last year, took on a much bigger role. Now he's going to clearly be a starter and a mainstay with the Rockets this season and going forward. So one way or the other, I think he's going to have a big part to play in how the season shakes out.
And I'm just going to say, growth on the offensive end does not necessarily need to mean an improved jump shot or, knocking down more threes, taking more. That's not it. It would be nice, but it's not necessary for there to be growth on the offensive end for him. When I was down there in the spring, and I'm working on a story about, hey, do you got to go outside to find a superstar to vault this thing into contender status? The answer ended up being yes, obviously. And they went out and got KD. But in the course of those conversations, I was asked, and it was kind of a rhetorical question, what could Russell Westbrook do at his peak that Amen Thompson doesn't have a chance to be able to do?
While being several inches bigger.
Yeah. In other words, dude, why can't this guy be a dude who has the ball in his hands a ton and is running the offense and just creating havoc and overpowering people and overwhelming people with his athleticism and spraying the ball out to shooters, while playing at breakneck speed? And then, by the way, Russ was never a dominant defensive player, despite what he wants to tell people. This guy,
I always loved when Russ.
Why am I not on defensive team? Because you don't play good defense, dude.
Well, I like when he. What did he say about Beverly? He's just faking it out there. He's fooling.
No, I was in response to my question. That was Pat Bev be tricking y'all, man. He just be running around out there. I don't remember the exact, but Pat Bev be tricking y'all.
Speaking of the Rockets, though. Very interesting starting lineup in this game Monday night. No Kevin Durant, as you said, Brian. But Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, I would guess, starting for Kevin Durant, and Reed Shepherd starting also.
By the way, I just want to point something out, that a whole bunch of the players who played heavy minutes in Eurobasket, especially the teams who went deep, have naturally, including Luka, have naturally taken some time off. Alpi Şengün was like, no, I'm ready to play. And he played 17 minutes in this game, scored 19 points, had 5 rebounds and 6 assists, 2 blocks.
How old
Plus
is he?
18 in 17 minutes.
He's very young, but it's not like Luka's 35. I mean, they're I'm just saying, Şengün is like,
just
let's
turned
go,
23,
baby.
to answer your question.
Yeah. So, Amen Thompson did hit a three.
But, and he'll hit some, but like he's not going to turn into a average 3-point shooter this year, much less a good one. But he doesn't need to become potentially an all-star and even a superstar.
All right, last guy on the list, and this is a good name. Played in the game, or did he play in this game tonight? He was certainly
I believe
there.
so.
Who that is?
He played.
He played in this game tonight.
8 assists in
Trae
18
Young.
minutes. Yeah. Trae Young.
Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks.
Trae Young on the list for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, we've talked a ton about Atlanta this summer, and they're going to be a very interesting team in the Eastern Conference this year. But really more than that, it's for the reason he's a stand-in for the thing we have talked about a lot over the past few months, which is sort of the new paradigm of contract negotiations in the NBA, and specifically for these guys going into their third contracts, and sort of what is the new reality for these stars going into their third deals. We saw Brandon Ingram eventually get traded and sign a deal with the Raptors. We saw Julius Randle, he ends up extending last year for a little over $30 million a year with the Wolves after getting traded there from the Knicks. There's been talk about, is Tyler Hero going to get extended? He's not going to get extended, but what is the next contract for him? Just talked about Austin Reeves before. He hasn't made a lot of money, but what number is Austin Reeves going to get to? And Trae Young is sort of in that same group of player. A really good player, has had a great career in Atlanta, still a tremendous point guard, setting up guys, led the league in assists last year, can still do a lot of things to help a team win, but as a smaller guard, coming off a year where he had Achilles issues most of the year, is he going to, I'm sure he's going to want something at or close to the max, which is going to be up around $50 million a year, maybe higher. If I'm Atlanta, I don't want to pay Trae Young a max. I don't think they have a real way to build a team that can be a contending team if they're paying Trae Young at the max. But if they could pay him, say, $35 a year over a few years, then with Jalen Johnson and see what happens with Dyson Daniels on an extension, and maybe they bring Kristaps Porzingis back, and they've got Zachary Richichet, last year's number one pick. They've got potentially a super high pick in next year's draft coming from this Pelicans trade that they made this summer.
Walker.
Just signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's going to be a tremendous fit for them.
In his first game, I believe it was his first game. Yeah, first game as a Hawk tonight. 13 points in 11 minutes, hit 3 threes.
But he's become a really, really good 3-and-D plus guy. And the plus is because he can put the ball on the floor. He can facilitate. He's not just a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
But he's a really, really good role player. But look, I hear you putting Trae Young in the same sentence as those guys. I'm just going to point out, from a production and accomplishment standpoint, he's a cut above all of those guys. He just is. Now, is he a perfect player? No, he's not a perfect player. There are very.
I don't know. I wouldn't say he's a cut above all those guys.
Who of those guys you mentioned? Who's he not a cut above?
I think the perfect analog for him, honestly, is Julius Randle. I think he and Julius Randle are very similar players. They've both made deep playoff runs. Julius obviously made to the conference finals this year.
Trae drove a deep playoff run. There's a big difference.
One time.
That's true.
He did 4 years ago.
That's true.
And Trae has made one All-NBA team. I think Julius has made 2. And they're both players that are very good, but have to have a very certain kind of ecosystem around them to be at their best. And it's unclear if that is a formula that can lead you to be a team that can get really deep in the playoffs. I know the Wolves just got to the conference finals, but it's an awkward fit.
Trae Young offensively is absolutely good enough to make deep playoff
runs. He's averaged double-figure assists the last 3 years.
Yes, he's a tremendous offensive point guard who's a huge liability on defense.
Right, and so that's the question. And I'm not saying the guy should he's not a no-brainer max in this world. It is an interesting thing, though, where they find themselves in this situation where the decision's going to be made over the next year do they move forward with Trae Young or not? That's basically where we're heading here, right?
Well, I think I don't even know if it's that simple because, like, if you look around the NBA, and it's kind of what happened with Julius, right? Julius had another really good season this year. And I know there wasn't a lot of cap space out there, but, like, where are the obvious fits for Julius Randle to go?
Yeah.
It's not an obvious fit a lot of places, right? If you look around the league, who needs a point guard? Like, there's not a lot of teams where you just go, hey, they're going to go pay $50 million to sign Trae Young, even if you have cap space.
Right.
Like, it's just not, and that's not a knock on Trae. I think Trae's awesome.
Well,
he's a really good player.
Put LaMelo Ball in for Trae. Like, it's the same thing. Like, there's not like
or Ja Morant. I mean, it's if you want to like try to construct a Ja Morant trade again, set aside anything else other than like who's going to give up a bunch of stuff for a point guard. The one team everybody sort of always talked about, well, they could use a point guard, was San Antonio. They just traded for
now they got
Fox. Right. But like they made their trade. They traded for De'Aaron Fox.
But
so
my point is the Hawks have constructed a roster that protects Trae Young on the defensive end extremely well, from getting Dyson Daniels to the length and athleticism in their front
Alexander
court.
Walker.
Yeah. So they've got these big on-ball defenders. They've got length and athleticism and rim protection in the front court. And they've in doing so, they've positioned themselves where they are a threat in a watered-down Eastern Conference. Like, it won't shock anybody if the Hawks win the East this year. And he's never been like.
I see Brian making that face, but they got votes to win the East in the offseason survey.
I mean,
it would shock you. It would shock you.
I don't know. I don't want to. It's almost 3 a.m. Eastern. I'm not gonna.
They're a consensus. They're seen as a consensus. They're seen as a consensus top 4 team in the East going into the season. So that's all you're saying.
And the year they went to the Eastern Conference Finals was an upset run. He's never been in a position since he's been in the NBA where he was on a team that had legitimate expectations like this entering the season. This is the best roster he's had.
Yeah, that's true.
So all why he's going to be super interesting.
If they were comfortable giving him the max, he would have it.
Oh yeah, no question about that.
So,
and if he was comfortable taking less, he'd have taken it probably.
Well, look, the reason Bontemps has him on this list is not just for what the Hawks do this year and where they end up and whether they can contend for the East or whatever, but what happens, if they can't come to an agreement on a contract. What happens?
Well, it's these conversations I think are just going to be more and more prevalent around the league. There's going to be a lot more there should be at least a lot more conversations like this.
Nobody ever got 85% of the max. Okay.
Right.
If you were anywhere close, because teams
it's kind of like the Supermax. Rudy's the only guy who's taken less than the entire Supermax on any of these deals that any of these guys have been eligible for.
Right. Well, he went above his allotted percentage, but not all the way to the line. Basically, is what Rudy.
Well, no, he didn't get the full Supermax. He got most of it.
He got above what he could have gotten without qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's almost like in golf terms, it's almost like having a very generous partner who gives you a 5-footer. You're within 5 feet, they knock it back and say, "Here's your max." Now they're just making you putt everything out. So that's just the way that it goes.
Do you get the 5-footers?
It depends who hit the putt. All right. Thank you for sticking with us. Very long day for some of us. For all of us, because MacMahon had to pull double duty.
Yes.
Also, MacMahon with a very aggressive hike.
Dude, okay. Listen,
I was at my training camp. I was in the air conditioning the whole time.
I want to clarify something. Okay, I on my little IG, I posted a thing of the gondola ride on the way down. I'm getting a lot of DM inquiries. Yeah, I hiked up Grouse Mountain. All right, I did. Now, was I huffing and puffing? Was I huffing and puffing? Oh yeah. Was it hard? Yeah. But I hiked up that bleepity bleep and then took a little stroll and saw a couple grizzlies. Big Country and Sharif, I named them. I don't know the official name.
He did send us a picture of Big Country and Sharif on the old group chat. We did see it.
They're leaned up right now. Weighed about 775 and 850.
They didn't look too leaned up to me, bro.
Yeah, no, apparently they get to like a
it didn't look. It also didn't look like a very big fence. I was looking at the fence. It looked like a little bit of a barbed wire fence.
It was sturdy.
Like, I don't know about this.
It was sturdy. But yeah,
I'm glad.
I hiked up. And according to my little, the thingamabobber on your phone, it was 234 flights of stairs. So yeah.
It's a lot of flights.
Wow. Yeah.
Love it.
Now, Christian Clark with the Athletic, he hiked up with me. I ain't gonna lie. I held him back. I took about 4 or 5 rests.
Well, he's younger than you, significantly.
He is a young fella.
All right. Well, thank you very much to Jackson for staying up late early in the season. Thank you for listening and watching the Hoop Collective. Thank you to MacMahon and Bontemps. And we will talk to you later this week.
Adios, amigos.